Galatians 4, we're picking up in verse 10 here. We're reading New Living Translation. It says, "You are trying to earn the favor with God by observing certain days or months or seasons or years. I fear for you," Paul writes, "perhaps all my hard work with you was for nothing." That's verse 11. And we'll continue on to verse 12 and we'll stop here. "Dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to live as I do in freedom from these things, for I have become like you, Gentiles, free from those laws." He continues on here, but we're going to pick this up in our next one. He said, "You did not mistreat me when I first preached to you." We're going to pick that up in our next one as we walk through what that means. It kind of goes into our next thought. Remember, all these verses weren't technically written this way, necessarily like broken down by verse and chapter. This was a letter written, and so sometimes there's a verse there, and I don't know why the writers chose to include that in that when clearly that goes into that next thought that he's segue into there. So he's basically saying here is that, why are you trying to observe these days and seasons? And obviously probably, referring to Sabbath, probably referring to the feast days. We don't know exactly here, but it sounds like that is what he's referring to, this days or months or seasons or years. Why are you trying to earn God's favor with you? That he's saying, I fear for you. I don't think that you're making everything I did in vain. You're doing this, and he's saying, I plead with you, live freedom from these things. He says, I became like you, the Gentiles, to live free from these laws and all these regulations that don't have anything to do with our freedom in Christ and our walk with Christ. Why would you follow these things? And again, he's not saying don't follow the Sabbath. That's a whole other thought that some people say, well, that means we should have followed the Sabbath. We don't have to follow that. There's some principles in the Sabbath that are great for us as believers to follow. That's a whole nother podcast that we could do there. But just walking through, he's saying, follow my example, live free from legalism, like as you see me doing. Paul's encouraging them to don't live under these useless, going back to verse 9, these weak and useless spiritual principles. So I hope that's helpful to you in some way. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll talk to you later.